This is 10 News with Matt Doran.
Good evening and welcome to 10 News. It's been a day of shock and massive relief for all of us here at Channel 10 after our news chopper crashed north of Midland this morning. On board, cameraman Adam Delmage and pilot Paul Debenham amazingly both walked from the shattered aircraft. The drama caught on camera from the air and the ground. Michael Bennett reports.
The moment the 10 News chopper crash lands on a rural property in Perth's east. In front of news crews on the ground, the aircraft flips onto its side, the tail snapping. Cameraman Adam Delmage jumps from the helicopter, rips off his harness and runs from the wreckage. Fire crews who were there for a truck rollover spring into action.
Helicopter's on its side. We're taking shelter behind an embankment, trying to book time over it.
The moment it all went wrong caught on Adam's camera as the chopper hurtles towards the ground. Moments after the impact, pilot Paul Debenham pushes open the door and climbs out. Watching on, colleagues and friends from other TV channels.
The 10 chopper's here filming, and then next minute we saw it was low and it was like it dipped around and lost control, and then the tail rotor started spinning. Then next minute it would just hit the deck, couldn't see it because it was behind a truck. Ran around, saw the cameraman jumping out, and that was it.
10 News was in the air filming the truck crash in Baskerville when the helicopter came down just before 11 this morning. 23-year-old Adam Delmage was clipped into a harness and filming outside the chopper when it started to fall. The aircraft is owned by Heli West, the company praising the actions of its pilot for pulling off the emergency landing in what it described as extremely difficult terrain.
They were very lucky. Obviously, an aircraft crash of any sort is quite treacherous, and they were lucky to walk away from it.
The pilot's training and how we actually controlled the actual aircraft was very good, and that obviously resulted in the cameraman and the pilot getting out safely.
Delmage was treated by ambulance staff at the scene.
He was pretty dazed and confused, but I went and spoke to him and he was fine. So he actually asked if he was still alive.
He was later taken to Royal Perth Hospital and treated for a sore back. Tests have shown no serious injuries and he's been allowed to go home. Paul Debenham, a pilot with 40 years' experience, was also taken away in an ambulance and was treated for shock. Less than 2 months ago, the cameraman completed Channel 10's compulsory helicopter crash escape training.
He said he braced, he felt it, he braced, waited for the rotors to stop, and then he just jumped out and legged it, and I don't think he knew where he was.
He told colleagues this afternoon he doesn't want to fly again.
Let's go live now to Baskerville and 10 News reporter Michael Bennett. And Michael, obviously this incident has shaken so many of our colleagues.
Matt, that's right. It hasn't just shaken everyone at 10, but shaken really these really tight-knit media community in Perth. Colleagues who were here on the ground in Baskerville and actually witnessed the crash didn't really know whether Adam and Paul had made it through okay. We all go up in the news chopper at any given moment following breaking stories, and when an incident like this occurs, it really reminds us how precarious our jobs are. At the same time, it strips away the rivalry between all the TV networks. Thankfully, as we said, Adam and Paul have both been to hospital and released and are now recovering with their families. Adam especially is close to everyone at the 10 newsroom in Perth, and I can only describe it as a massive sense of relief that they came through it okay. We caught up with Adam a short time ago. This is what he had to say.
Everything seemed fine. I was talking to the pilot and the engine just quit. It was like a bad movie, really. Started going down and just basically I pushed myself, I was filming out the side, and pushed myself back in the cabin and just braced myself. And I just kind of climbed out the top and tried to jump out, but my harness was still on, my 4-point harness was still on, so I ripped the cord and jumped out the chopper and kind of just laid there for a second, looked up and saw the tail was up one end, the chopper was on its side. I thought the pilot was dead. I thought Devo was dead. I didn't know whether to run back and help him out because I didn't know if it was going to go up in flames.
What were you thinking as it went down?
I said, I'm going to survive this. This is not the day. I was definitely going to survive it. If I didn't do my Hewitt course and it wasn't so fresh in my memory, I wouldn't have taken that. I just wouldn't have thought to do that, but I knew that I had to brace myself and prepare myself for the worst.
That's you jumping out of the helicopter.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
So this afternoon, Australian Transport Safety Bureau officers arrived here on the scene to try and figure out just what went wrong. They took the wreckage of the 10 News helicopter to Jandakot Airport. They'll spend the next few days combing through it to try and find some clues. But at this stage, we really have little idea about why it crashed. And as we said, the chopper was owned by Heli West, and in its 21-year history, there has never been a single crash. I'll bring you an update on this story later in the bulletin, but for now, that's all from Baskerville.
A lucky escape indeed. Thanks for the update, Michael.